Hello. What we'll be looking at here is trying to create a email newsletter template. To do that, I wanted to go to our live site. I wanted to share with you the template I'm working on for us to use for email templates. But to begin with, let me jump backwards. To our course site and to share with you some of the elements that we're trying to get accomplished. So we're looking for a 2-column email newsletter. We've already done this, which is fill out the contact settings for background and the contact settings for canned spam compliance. We've worked on and filled out the contact settings for footer and subscriptions, etc. That was what we did in the getting started a couple of weeks ago. For the email, we'll be looking at a signature module. Here what we've asked for is that all modules have prompting text and descriptions. In addition, the email should have a call to action button. We want social sharing in our template, as well as to have the web version enabled. Use tokens for both. Include an image at the top of our template. That just makes it look nice. So we want to put in some sort of image at the top. For our 2 columns, the second column we want to have is a sidebar. And the sidebar can have a lot of things, but what I was thinking is putting information like courses and student organizations. Also at the bottom, I wanted to put in, you can get a job at inbound.org, and trying to help with building individuals' resumes and places to think about. So if you would go there and start to look at the types of jobs that are available for somebody that's working on this type of skill, that could help you as you build your resume. I want a background color, and I want the sidebar to have at least 15 pixel radius so that it has that nice smooth edge, not a hard cut. And as always, make sure you can view it as a web page. Sometimes people have a hard time reading their email, and this at least helps them out. So let's start working and looking and seeing what we can do with that. So let's jump over to the reel, and this is the school site. You'll notice that the menu options are slightly different, not totally, but the content, we have more options in content as we have campaigns and calendars. But what we still have always done is gone to Design Manager, and the Design Manager looks the same. So here, what we were looking for is to go into our templates, and we can go through our templates and find various elements. But since I've been working on it, I'll just jump to recently edited. And here's the template that I was working on. Now it's the same type of situation as before, so I could start as a new template. The difference if you're creating from new is you go to the email, not the page, but the email. And the reason that you're going to go to email is, and you'll see in a second, you'll have different things built for you. So we'll put ISM emails, and we'll call it just for and you can see here that when the shows up, it looks a little different. One of the elements that is at the top for this template is view as a web page, so it's already built for you. Then we have the logo, the main email body, and you got to be careful with that because email body has some attributes associated with it where you might want to use rich text instead. And then the office location, this is to help us with canned spam. So let's preview it and see what it looks like. So this is totally vanilla. There's the top, not rendering correctly. You view it as a web page. And we're going to have to talk about that when we do our email creation, but we won't right now. It's a single, and then here you can see at the bottom is the canned spam information where you have the name, opt-out abilities, and ability to unsubscribe. So let's jump back now that you see what a template looks like if you created it from scratch. Let's close that out and go into the newsletter that I was working on. And what publish changes just to make sure that everything that you see is correct. What I was trying to build, and I'll preview it, is what we were talking about already. And that idea is we wanted the web page. We said we'd like some sort of image at the top. So I have the image and then some sort of heading for the entire email newsletter. Notice personalization. So I've entered the person's name and then gave a little bit of a description about what should be written here. Then we start our two columns, the news on the left, the events or different things affecting student organizations on the right. On the left column, I have news for the newsletter, in the media for the newsletter, and additional information. Now, one of the things, as you can see at the bottom, is I didn't like the way the normal canned spam looked, so I added a little bit of HTML to make it look nicer, just by doing breaks. Very, very, very simple, but break at certain points just so that it looked and read easier. Now the other thing that you're looking at is the gray color. Whether you like gray or not is not the relevant issue. This is a Wayne State color, and the Wayne State University marketing says you will use this color. So we're using this color. So this is a university-wide adopted color scheme. So if you're looking at it and going, John, why don't you use white or blue or some other color? That color is a university color. So we're just trying to be in compliance with the university. However, the right-hand column, I wasn't in compliance. I wanted something a little lighter, but I wanted to stick with the green theme, but I'm not sure it's going to match. With the newsletter, and you've probably received multiple email newsletters from Wayne State, and I did put them in the so that you saw what they looked like. In fact, let me just jump back over here and make sure that you saw them. Here under Documents, this current newsletter is what was shipped out. So this was, and you're probably on the School of Business Administration list. So they're using a listserv. All right, I know that's 1990s technology and nobody in their right mind uses it, but we use it. Here's the listserv that they're using, and they put out links, and that's all they did. So they did news in the media and events. You probably, if you go, and then social media on the bottom. So you could notice no icons either, just the links, no icons. So you could probably get that if you, and I know you probably put it in your spam folder, but if you go in your spam folder and look around, you probably still have that week in SBA, and it comes out every week. So if you missed it, just wait and keep your eyes open and you get it this coming week. This is how it looks. So, all right, it doesn't look very good. So that was the whole point, was to spruce it up some. So the idea is to take these topics and start in with a little bit of teaser text and the link. Start a little bit of teaser text and the link, just to try to break it up. And then move the events into green so that would be eye-catching. And you can see for the most part, the events are all advising or recruitment, versus the events you could see here are just listed. So hopefully that's more eye-catching. So, and then additional information at the bottom and the news center. So let's see what the layout looks like. Well, when we're here, we have our built-in modules, as we always have, which is, that's nothing new. You can also use the global modules. You can also use custom modules. And notice there's a lot of global modules I've created, the university privacy module, etc., etc. But these are the email modules, etc., that we were looking at. So what I wanted to do is to grab a module, and I made it a rich text module at the top, so that if you edit it, I said I want an image above the body, and it should be 600 by, and I really should say pixels, just so it looks nicer. So I'll do that. Then you can see, if you do tools source code, what it is. There's the image that was loaded, and then the heading as well. So I just did the insert of an image, and it's a placeholder image. This is the Detroit skyline. That seems to be something that the school really likes to use, is Detroit skyline images. So I just continued that same and used that. But it's a rich text module put above to give the newsletter a heading to it. Now, some people will argue, no, you shouldn't be using this valuable real estate with picture, because above the fold idea is what you want your major content in. Yeah, I buy into that, but I'm not so sure. I think that gives it a good look. Then what I did in the main group is I put together the entire email into a group. I put the main email body at the top, and you can see hi first name, and I use the personalization token here to get the person's name out of the contact database. What you're not seeing in the developers is there's other personalizations that we could have done. And these are company personalizations. So I could have looked at the industry, because I know that the SBA may be going out to non-students. So we could have personalized it with company information. We could have put in a call to action, yet I didn't. But anyway, so there's the two different personalizations we could have loaded. And here what I wanted the person to do is just give them a quick, brief overview of what this email is going to be about. Then the two columns, left and right, and I sized it so that the sidebar email, and then let's look at it, is here with the events. But I reached out to so I've got that here like that, and I reached out. I thought I did the styling in the newsletter itself. I don't think I did the styling. I did do the styling here. On the module, you can edit the cascading style sheet, and again, this is email, so you don't want the email, you don't want cascading style sheet external, because you don't know if it's going to be attached and go into the email. So you pretty much in email want inline styling. So you want to associate it. So it's, I know it's against the rule, but the idea for emails, it's the exception to that rule, because what you want in the email is to guarantee it to look good, which will mean inline, because those typically are not blocked. So I did the background color, and then I put a border width there, and that gives us the green. Then I did the spacing. So inside, to get it off of that border, I moved a 4 pixel around. Then to get it off the other columns, I put a margin of 2. So I'm padding with 4, margin of 2. Stayed away from the classes. It's just dangerous in email clients. And then wrote inline styling of border radius 10 pixels. And I think we said we wanted 15. So let's see, is that what we said in our lecture? Yep, we said 15. So rats, I better go back, change it so it's 15. So there, now I matched it. Let's preview and see how that looks. I'm not so sure I like 15. That looks a little too much for my taste. So anyways, that's what we wrote for the requirements for the class. So haha on me. I'll leave it like that. So there we have our 15 for the sidebar. Now in the group, we have our news, in the media, and additional information. So we have news, in the media, and additional information. And you're saying, wait a minute, John, that's just one column. Why in the world would you have done news, in the media, and additional information? They're all the same. They're all rich text. Why did you do that? Well, it went back to, as you're trying to market and get people interested in doing this, this is how they had set it up. They built the email template, the newsletter template, as news, in the media, and events. And then I added the additional information. But the idea that I wanted to do is to make it very easy for whoever has to do this, that put the news in the news, in the media in the media, and additional information in the additional information. So I didn't want to make the end user, when we create the email, have to do a lot of thinking. I have a news item, it goes in the news section. So rather than create one long column with the headings and everything preloaded, I wanted to set it up so that anyone, no training at all, would say news goes to news, in the media goes to in the media, additional goes in additional. So I'm trying to go after the end user and make, when we create it, simple. Then added the social sharing at the bottom and clicked on the various social tools that the school uses. So these are available if the person clicks on them to share them on their sites. So you can see the Hubble Code, Social Link URL. We'll then go to Facebook, Social Link, and Social URL, Social Link, etc. So I tried to do that. Then here in the Canned Spam area, we want to ensure that, and the way these are various tokens coming in, and there are tokens, so name, address, and so I arranged them so it looked nice. And then update your email preferences and unsubscribe. So let's cancel that. So that I don't want it to be ever changed. And since I don't want it to be ever changed, I should lock it. Now it will not go into the actual email creation. And for argument's sake, the social sharing, I should probably lock as well, because I don't want them to touch that, and I don't want the users to have to see or deal with it. I don't want the users to have to see or deal with that. Ideally, I should take control away from the user and lock the image, but I'm not going to. I will let them change it if they want. I may regret that, but that's what we've done. So as you can see, I'm going to let the user change or modify or feel comfortable changing the heading and the picture. And I may rethink that, but right now I'm leaning to letting them change that picture. Let them change the heading and then put in the various elements. So I then publish, and that's what the template for the newsletter will look like. So hopefully that gives you an idea of a real use of an email newsletter. So with that, thank you very much for attending this lecture and listening in.